If you feel that you can run with the best, well, we've got the challenge for you. Something that will take you out of the familiar, out of your comfort zone. But you will get a chance to show that you are worthy. For each dog and handler team, a series of 3 tests: hunt saddle, field trial, and a hunt test. Each one a challenge by itself. But to excel in all 3, you'll have to bring all of the endurance you can summon, all the desire that's inside of you. You'll need the enthusiasm of youth, the wisdom of age. If you can put it all together, you'll be the winner. The Super Retriever Series Crown Championship is presented by Eukanuba. Sporting dogs give us everything we ask and then some. Their nutrition should do the same. By Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission, we are focused on you. Louisiana Tourism, feed your soul. And by Lucky Duck Kennels.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the 2024 Super Retriever Series Crown Championship. 25th anniversary, presented by Eukanuba. I'm your host, Pat Burns. I'll be with you today, and I'm joined by Luke Core. Luke, how are you, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Excellent, excellent. Well, we've got a double blind here, and the professionals ran yesterday. Did you run this?
I did.
Well, I'd love your perspective on it. Hopefully they'll pop up a graphic here that we can talk about this, but we're looking at one. Oh, here we go. Well, before we go, these are our dogs, right? These are our 12 going to the next series. All right. I tell you what, there was a big shift in some of those top dogs didn't fare so well.
It's tightened up a little bit.
Well, you pick, I don't care how good you run, you pick up the poison bird, it's game over.
That's right.
And I'll tell you what, the first 2 dogs came out and just stopped this thing. And I'm going like, this isn't that easy.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out.
But there for a second, you didn't think it was going to be enough test, and then it proved to work itself out.
I said, we got a drone there, and our drone operator, there's our graphic, there's our ground graphic. And that's and the reason I put that up is because there's a lot of water, you don't see the dog.
Yeah. Your short bird, both birds are on a rope, and there's a poison bird placed on the ground so that each dog gets the exact same poison bird location, because sometimes these rubber ATVs, you'll get a big bounce or one will throw further than the other, so everything's the same for everybody. But the key here is on this short poison bird, the dogs have to sit there and watch that guy reel that bird in on a rope and entice them until once that bird gets pulled back into that cover, then they're free to run their right blind first. And on both of these blinds, there's different factors. There's points and there's pieces of water on the way there. And each factor is going to be a 50-point penalty if you don't hit it. So if you cheat the water, it's going to be 50 points. Or if you swim around a point, it's going to be an additional 50 points. Or you get on a point and you can't get off a point back into the water, it's going to be a 50-point penalty. And then at any time, if you pick up one of the 2 poison birds, it's an automatic disqualification.
Well, tell me about the long blind now.
Bird you see, and then you got to angle across that channel. As you know, a lot of dogs are going to want to square.
Yep.
So when they're coming out and they've got that right momentum and they're heading towards the poison bird, the trouble there is if you get that left cast, you can't hit that second piece of water on the left.
Right.
You got to skim by it. So when you get that left cast, some of those dogs want to jump in. So then you're having to force them to cast back into the poison bird before you hit that open water.
You don't see them for a while when they get in that left.
No, they jump in, and especially if they head left, where most of them are going, they're coming in because most of the time you're having to give that left-hand cast away from that poison bird, so they're getting in that water with left momentum. So the judges have kind of put those 2 factors in there very nicely where you don't get the desired cast most of the time. Most of the time you're going to want that right cast off that last shoreline before you go to that point. Those dogs are getting in, heading left, and they're beaching early, meaning they're getting out early on that far point. And then it's taken 4, 5, 6 casts to get them off that point rather than...
Or just to the tip of the point.
Right. And then you got to get off that last point to finish. And if you don't get off that last point and hit that last piece of water, that's another 50-point penalty.
And look at the wind.
Yep.
Now, that was yesterday's wind.
Yeah,
and it's
going to get a little bit of a shift. I think it's going to be more over your left shoulder today. It's going to be an east wind.
Which,
so it's going to
which will be a little bit more handler friendly.
It can be, unless you have a dog that really doesn't want to cast. Even if it's a light wind, as you know, if that wet dog can feel it, and sometimes they don't want to get that left-handed cast off that poison bird.
And can you see that poison bird as a handler?
You can. You can. The judges have placed it in a spot where it's got some grass in the way, so it's not super visible, but they've placed it where all the handlers can see it, but also the dogs can see it very well.
Would you describe your run here?
So my dog, she was very enticed by the short bird being drug into the grass. That's the main thing she focused on. She had a good right blind. She rolled in through over all the points and had a good right blind. I think we 2-whistled it. On the left blind, she actually wanted to go into the cover where the bird got drug in. Rather than the bird sitting out there in the open, they can see. They think it's a crippled bird, so they wanted to go in there. And then when we got out through the channel and going towards the long poison bird, I got out with the right momentum. She was getting out a little left, and I casted her right because I wanted that right momentum. And I was trying to get my left-handed cast to go between the poison bird and that piece of water, and then so I could get that desired right. But she wanted to get in that second piece that you're supposed to miss.
On the left, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I had to stop her there, cast back towards the poison bird, but I gave her a verbal and she got into the water. She beached a little early on the long point, but then she cast it off great and we finished a pretty good blind.
And you just had your score coming in was just high enough that it kept you from moving on. Is that?
No,
are you in the last?
I am in the last.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So
okay.
I had a 30-point score, so that puts us in third place.
Oh, well, fantastic. Okay,
I'm fourth series. Yeah. So having a good one.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Got to keep it up. A lot of trial left.
I apologize for not knowing that right off the bat. So, well, good. Well, I'm thinking like, oh, you're here. I wish you were up online, but you are going to be up.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, that's an excellent description, and they're going to run another test dog this morning, and they've got some incredible camera angles here. Now, there's a cameraman from the back of the blind filming the line.
I really like that view a lot.
And so you can oftentimes you can see the dog, and then you can watch the handlers cast, and then you've got the view from behind the dog, and I don't know how many different camera angles they have.
I think we've got 3 today.
Right, and they've got one slightly in front of the dog to the left that he
We're
swings
looking at
around
now.
and gives you a few different views. Yeah, there you go. That's the camera view. And, pay close attention, everybody, to the style and communication that the handlers are giving their dog. What side they're running off of, where they stand in relationship to the dog. You'll see a tremendous amount of information being transmitted from both handler to dog and dog to handler, and you'll learn a lot that way. And so I tell you, it goes fast. This is, I've really enjoyed this blind, and I tell you, you're going to learn a lot by watching this.
Pat, for some of our viewers that are new to this or they're kind of getting into this sport, can you kind of explain to them what a blind retrieve is and what a poison bird is when you're incorporating it into a water blind?
Very, very good. Well, a blind retrieve, the dog does not know where the bird is. It's a scenario where you're hunting and either the bird was shot, the dog didn't see it, but the handler will have the dog at his side. They'll have different cues to tell them they're about to do a blind retrieve, and the handler will point the dog in the direction and send them, and he'll use a whistle to stop them and the hand signals to direct them. A poison bird, which you're going to see here, would simulate a scenario where maybe, and it's very typical, where a group of birds came in and a couple birds fell short, but the bird that is long is apt to either drift away or get away, and you need to pick up that bird first. So you deny the birds that are up close, and you make them do the long retrieve first, and you use handling. So in this situation, the temptation of these poison birds are, well, there you're going to see it right there. Boom. Okay. Well, here's that communication we talked about. Now she's telling them no dead bird, and she's going to pick up these 2 simulated birds that might get away, in
See
lieu
that bird
of-
being drugged back right there? The dog has to watch that all the way to
And
the
you can't
cover.
send the dog until that bird is out of play. Well,
I believe this is Hilderwood and Ronan, right? Not
right.
Quincy.
It is Ronan, and well, she's trying to pull.
This is Ronan.
This is Hilderwood and Ronan. It's one of our competitors that didn't make this series.
Very nice dog.
Okay. Okay. It's set first. She's probably going to go with a silent right-handed cast, which she dug kind of straight back. Dog came back to find her, which you got to like. So there's a lot of anticipation going on there.
Got a little bit of it.
Yeah, but you know, it gives you an insight into how challenging it's going to be to cast the dog in that
The far part, yeah.
on the far blind.
And I think the judges did a great job of blind number one sets up blind number two. Those dogs are heading towards open water and get to pick up a bird on a point. And then the next time they get to a point, there's no bird on them. They got to cast off.
Yeah, they do.
Water.
Yeah, they do. Okay, so she's picked up blind one. You said the dogs really want to look in where the bird crawled away.
They do. They
Yeah.
almost come back and auto lock in on it like they want to get that cripple bird. A lot of them have even disregarded the white bird that's sitting out there 15 yards away. This dog seems to be looking. We had a blind planter walk out to replant the blind.
Well, this is one good reason you
That's
run test
right.
dog. You get your mechanics down here.
This is a view I wish I had in training every day.
I know. When they said they were going to do this.
Good cast.
She go verbal here? Yep. I think, but that's always a risk. Well,
That's right.
So the verbal cast tends to drive the dog more straight back, with a silent cast is intended to direct the dog a little more left or right.
In our camp, we say silent is change of direction or change of mind. Trying to change that decision they've previously made.
Well,
I don't have a drop command.
well, that happened yesterday,
Yep.
and that's game over. I don't care how good you are.
And that's part of the test dog. That's what they want. That's why we run them. Give their handlers an opportunity to see.
I tell you what, I need to see that if I'm one of those handlers.
Yep.
I mean, I always that puts me in the state of mind as a handler.
So in the competitive scenario, this dog is going to be disqualified. But here, they're going to go ahead and let this dog run the blind so the handlers can see the full water blind.
Hilda's trying to get some training in. Now you can verbally talk to him in some ways, but you can't. You wouldn't be able to say that.
No, you wouldn't be able to do
You could
that.
say here, but not no, under judgment. Is he looking for that poison bird again?
Watching a test dog pick up a poison bird like that kind of increases those nerves as a handler standing there, because it kind of brings it to reality that, man, that's tight, and you can pick that up real quick and we could be turning around and going home.
Well, Ronan he's fighting her about getting in the water, and
But this is what you want to see in a test dog. You want to see
no, look at the dog. You see the handler. See, she can't see him.
These handlers that are nervous about every little piece of suction this blind causes. This is really what you want to see in a test dog. It shows you
Yes.
what the difficulty is, and Hilda's doing a great job of letting us know where that is.
I don't think that was her intent, but she is doing.
She's sticking with it, and she's doing what everybody wants a test dog to do.
Well, If there
Nobody
were,
wants to see the test dog line in the blind.
if there were 3 poison birds there, he might have picked up all 3. It's hard to keep your composure here, and Ronan is being not a good dog here. Don't give up, Hilda. She's not happy with her boy. Is she going to finish this? I guess she's going to try. You don't get those mulligans on when it.
If that happens, it don't have to be very. Yeah. They don't have to be real clever.
Well, lots of planning going on up there. I asked a couple handlers. I said, "How many times did you run this blind last night in your mind?"
Yeah.
He said, "I couldn't even count that high."
Having nightmares about it.
And I've worked with this dog, and he's typically a pretty compliant dog, but not today.
It's a lot of suction going on. There's a lot going on. It's a tough blind.
Now they've allowed lateral movement.
Pretty much, you can pretty much go where you need to. They'll let you know if you get too far out of the picture, but they haven't had any stipulations or any
So
penalties.
look at the background there. I watched Carter over to the other side of the Eukanuba tent. And, oh boy, this is it. Don't pull it. There. You've got to fight the urge to just get frantic and speed up as a handler when it's hairy like this. You kind of got to get. Hard to slow down. Is Ronan finally going to? Now she got to the tip of the point. Now she's got to get into one of them. So Luke, I've got to ask you a question right here. I've been taught, I would be coaching my handlers to give a verbal over here. I have not seen one handler use that word over. They'll tell me about it. Is that?
From my mentors in my camp and what we do is we're going to be a silent angle off that point.
Well, sure, but if the silent doesn't work and you need to change up,
Yeah.
I
wouldn't be opposed to it.
I mean, working for Mike Lardy, working for myself with Danny in a national, in that situation, 90% of the professionals would be going with a silent over in the first cast and a stop and a verbal over in the second. That would be the typical thing.
Right.
And I just haven't seen it. So it's obviously a different style but the dogs, I mean, you know, there's been some great blinds. That's obviously the way they're trained. I'm curious.
I think maybe part of it you might get a little bit of, in this game it's a score game, so you get a couple more chances than you probably would in a national to get off that point. But I think most of us, probably just train that way to be silent off of it, and then we just stick with it unless we can't get it. Then you got to try something. And most, I heard a couple guys go to a verbal back, and that may be how they train. Is a verbal back is to get off a point. But how we train is going to be a silent cast, and if I don't get that cast, then I'm probably just going to sweat them a little bit longer before my next one.
So another thing that I would be considering right now is that double whistle on that point where you stop and you cast, and you don't even wait for them to finish the cast. You stop them again with as aggressive a whistle as you can blow.
Yeah.
That 911 whistle, and sometimes you can just you want them to feel the chill of the whistle there, and that.
Right.
And then sometimes, that automatic double tap on that point is another thing that is commonly used. And I just, I'm asking you because I don't, I don't know if there's a newer style, but.
I think in this game, like if you were to look at these amateur scores, a lot of these scores are only a couple points apart. Some of them are even, we have a tie in 12th and 11th place, and so those handlers are at this point on a blind, they're counting whistles. So they're trying to blow as many whistles, as little whistles as they can. And as you see, you're going to get further down the running order. You're probably going to see a lot of these guys play it a little bit more conservative because they know what they kind of have to shoot for. They can stand up here and kind of figure out what they need to get and how many whistles they have in their pocket before they can, lose their position.
So you just watch that. You watch some of the best handlers struggle on this. Are you really going to count whistles on this blind?
It just depends on how everybody's doing.
Okay, all right.
Especially, like yesterday, Stephen and Clark started it off so good.
Oh my God.
It made you think, man, this is going to be a really tough blind to gain ground on.
New group, we're good to go. If that's what Shannon wants. I mean, you're not competing against them. It's the same for everybody, right? I mean, if we didn't talk about it with everybody else,
This was incredibly enjoyable for me to watch, and it should be for you at home. This is.
So you got Leo Joseph there coaching his amateurs.
Boy, Leo.
Right. The good thing about the amateurs and the open running together in the same test is some of these amateurs that are new into this game, or even the ones that have been running it for a while, and after their pro has helped run this blind, it can really help them coach and get them ready for it. And you see all these amateurs are talking to each other, they're working together, they all want to beat each other, but they all want each other to have a good time.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff. And well, we're going to get rolling here. Are you satisfied? Okay, so let's maybe do another recap of the point system, because there's a good look. Leo's standing there pointing at it. That patch of cover on the left, you get in there. 50-point penalty?
There's not a fit. They didn't say anything penalty-wise for that.
Okay.
Which means it can't be anything over 10. If it's something over 10, they have to announce it. So they could give you 10 points or so for getting in that cover. There's probably a chance of you grabbing a bird from the bird point in that cover.
Right.
It's a little bit of a hole, but other than that, on the right blind, each piece of water, so there's 1, 2, 3 pieces of water is 50 points, and then there's 2 points, and those 2 points are 50 points.
And if you look at the long blind, there's a little pocket. You can't really tell there's water in it, but there is water
on the left. And it looks like that water's far away from that where it starts to drop off, but it's pretty tight right there. You don't have a whole lot of room. It's a pretty tight corridor once you get out of that channel between that poison bird and that shoreline. So you have to have really good communication with your dog on whether you're telling them to get in the water or go by the water, or to get that poison bird or to go by that poison bird. So this blind, this left blind really, really judges the communication between the dog and the handler.
And people, they're going to talk about what cast. The first part of it is when you blow that whistle.
That's right.
I mean, what killed Hilda a little bit, when she gave that right-handed cast on her first attempt, in my opinion, she was slow to react.
Right.
When the dog sped up, you could see in the dog's body language what his intent was. It was to get the poison bird.
Right.
And it's easy for me to say sitting here watching, but a split second is the difference between success and failure.
We've got to have a lung full of air and ready to blow every step of the way.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching these dogs. And once again, you guys are going to get a great perspective on this. There's a lot you can learn. We've got drones going. We think we have our first handler sitting there in the holding blind.
Ready to go, just waiting on the finishing touches to be put on this test. Making sure everybody's got birds and fed and got drinks and ready to go. We got to thank the guys that are out in the field doing this and helping us out and working this test. We couldn't have it without them. And it takes, we've had some rain, we've had some wind, we've had some heat, we got to just be thankful for those guys that are willing to sit out in the field and help us put this on every day.
And if I'm not mistaken, these guys are all from Barksdale Air Force Base. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
I pretty much, and somebody told me they're doing this totally on a volunteer basis.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I got to meet some of the young men, and they were
Shreveport's a good area with a lot of good people. We're thankful to be here.
Without a doubt. I said it before, Shreveport has had a rich history of in the field trial world. There were
All good. I thought the standing that's the way it was yesterday. It's just a line is different.
Our first dog is going to be Dustin Owens and Fancy. Fancy qualified this year by getting a win in the amateur division at Meat River with Dustin handling. And then I believe they also got a second place over in Georgia at the Windy Hill event. So they've had a pretty good year. And this dog has actually placed in the collegiate event with as well. So showing that this dog can run for Dustin and for a young kid that's learning the event shows that this dog's got a lot of control. Dustin says, part of his success with her in this game has been her control and her ability to run really tough blinds. And so, given that he thinks that's his strength, he's probably feeling pretty good going into
All right,
this.
hey, gallery, let's scoot back a little
well,
bit.
you've got to have a positive attitude here. You got to believe you can do this, and
Just try to be fair to everybody.
so we're going to find out. And
All right, judges, we ready?
he looks pretty composed over there.
Dustin's one of the few amateur handlers that got multiple dogs in this, so that you could think that's going to give him a little bit of an advantage to get to see the test twice.
Go get them.
What's your first number?
Yeah, I know. I didn't know if he had
Number
He
8.
just called it. We're good.
Yeah, and he's just now got number 78. 7-8.
We're good.
7-8 judges.
7-8. Questions? Dennis said that high.
When some of the old-time field trailers,
Guns up.
the Crows, the husband and wife team were from here. Judy Aycock actually was from Shreveport initially. And she may have been when she won the national with Honcho. So and Sissy Stone, who had a dog named Stone Throws Marion's Choice, is really a nationally competitive dog also from here. So this is a big time dog area. The Louisiana as a whole is. All right, here we go.
Third one. Third 2.
Got to give that kid credit. He can't see where he's throwing, and he's been on that short poison bird. He's down in a hole.
I think they're using a winger
Oh,
to get that launch, that high launch angle.
Okay, well then, that's why it's so accurate. Because I said he's nailed it almost every time.
So again, for those that are just tuning in, those poison birds are placed on the ground, for they're the same for every dog, and they're reeled in. And that dog sitting there having to watch those birds be reeled in is added suction and enticing for these dogs.
So you saw his routine. He put his hand down, told the dog no, made him re-heel to attempt to redirect this dog's attention. And so here we go. And the handler's on his own to send at any point.
Ah!
Now, she's got that blind pace that you like to see that gives you the idea that she's running a blind. You could see her kind of half waiting for that whistle. A little bit of a left move here.
Ah!
How well can you see that area?
It's
Can you tell where the corner of that little
you can't
puddle-
really tell for where the corner of that water is, and it's also if you really on line or if you're just a little left of line, it's so little water you can't even really tell
Well,
that
yeah.
they're running through it. It's just pretty shallow right there on the edge, so you just see a little tippy toe most of the time.
Well, he obviously elected That dog elected to use some extra whistles to get that water.
Yep.
Do you think that's an attempt to make this blind better or set him up better for the next blind?
You know, I think he's trying to avoid any major penalties that he can, but he's also, you know, trying to make sure he's maintained control and not letting that dog avoid those casts getting into the water, knowing he's got to get a pretty crucial cast into the water here in a little bit.
So you're really trying to get this dog, because oftentimes you come back and pick up these birds after you've done a blind. And sometimes they're almost more interested in the bird after you've done this than they were the first time.
They get that routine of come back in mark mode, see that tail wagging and looking around. Dustin does a good job of slowing down and maintaining his control and getting him and Fancy on the same page.
Now, most handlers will send their dog on a different command for a blind than a mark. You heard the word back. So that's one clue. The other one is probably a preparatory command of dead bird. Boy, this is a fantastic view, isn't it?
It's great.
Oop, she just saw the bird right there.
Watch out for that piece of water. Good whistle.
You cast. You could tell she knew she wasn't supposed to get it. She looked at it over there again.
She knows. She's looking over there, and she knows that she's listening to her handler.
When can you see the dog again?
You've got probably, it depends on the dog's speed, obviously, but I would say it's probably realistically 10 yards, 10 yards maybe, if it depends on how far left they are.
Right. If they're right more, they're swimming longer.
Right.
But she is.
So I'm sure he can see her about now. As soon as they start getting to where they're getting close to that shoreline, you can see them.
You can see she. I mean, and you do kind of like this little bit concerned attitude. Oh yeah, beautiful spot, and a beautiful cast. So he got the nice big discipline cast off the point, but he needed to put her back on line with a left-handed cast, and he used that verbal because he didn't want to put her back up on the point. He wanted that dog to turn tighter and go more straight away. In my book, this has been pretty textbook handling.
Yeah. Fancy's a house dog as well, so she sleeps in bed and sleeps at the foot of a bed with him every night, so you know that relationship's got to help their communication when it comes to difficulty stuff like this.
Tim, that's just, to me, is just a lovely blind. I mean, you know, he had whistles, but...
Maintain control, challenge the line of the blind, that was a good job.
I mean, I don't think he got a single cast refusal, do you?
Hard to tell from this angle, but I don't think so.
Boy, was it... You know, trying to read the dog's attitude you could see when that dog saw the bird, the poison bird, and that whistle is essentially the equivalent of the word no. You're trying to intervene and tell them to stop what they're doing. And when you time that just right, and this was an excellent example, that whistle, that dog totally gave up on the idea of picking up that poison bird when he blew that whistle at the right time. Even when he cast back towards it, she had gotten the office memo that said that bird is not what we're going to get. It's a combination of good handling and good training. And I think he was pretty accurate with this dog description of being compliant, because she was very compliant there. Well, he's coming in here with 122 points, so a good blind here is really important. And in the professional division, a couple of those early dogs that moved up big time.
Kevin. Kevin. Hey, go.
Not sure. They're making a run out in the field to communicate something. And that wind does feel a little bit more on over our left shoulder quartering from left to right.
Right.
Which I think is a little bit more of a in the favor of the handlers. At least they're not as apt to wind the poison bird, but they're going to see it. And when you're casting into that last piece of water, it's easier to cast with the wind than it is into the wind.
Right.
85. Okay.
But everything else stays the same, so.
All right, here we go.
Now, Luke,
Dogs to the line.
on your weekend events, do you see poison birds to this challenging level?
We do. It's a pretty common thing. It just depends on the event and the number of dogs, obviously, you know, and time and stuff like that. But poison birds are a pretty big challenge in this event. Next up, we're gonna have Ron Anderson and Chop. It's spelled a little differently, but it's pronounced Chop. Chop is new to the scene with Ron. He's just 3 years old. They just started running together this year. He qualified with a second place, I believe, at the Amite River event. Ron is a multi-time crown winner. He's kind of he's always got the target on his back. He's one of those guys that just, when you let him in the next series, you know he's got a chance to jump to the top every time. Ron says Chop's a lot of dog, but he's a very good marking dog, likes to go long, and he's had some field trial experience with them. And so these big water blinds are not something that Chop's new to. Still a young dog, but they do a pretty good job of communication together, and they've had some good success.
Well, speaking of communication, you notice that Ron watched the poison bird on the left and elected to switch the dog to his right side in effort to communicate he was doing something different. But Ron's moving up, but let's see what he's, okay.
I think he gave that right cast there just to keep him watery, keep water on his mind. Another pop there. Hard to see. I don't know if you can see that dog at that point.
So in my years of shooting guns and blowing whistles, I don't hear a lot of these whistles. So tell me what just happened there.
He maintained good control. He had a couple pops there.
Okay, that's what I get.
But for the most part, he challenged the line of the blind and stayed in with it. I think his only faults there are going to be the two pops that I saw.
Okay.
2, maybe 3. Ron's kind of one of those guys, everybody says everything Ron touches turns to gold. So when he shows up on the scene with a new 3-year-old, you're kind of like, oh no, here comes another hammer. You know, the last crown he won was with a 3-year-old named Rip. So Ron having a new dog is always kind of, everybody's got their eyes on that dog to see what he's bringing to the scene.
Well, I think it's awesome because I tell you, it's the great handlers that I witnessed inspired me to work hard.
He's done a lot for this sport. He coaches a lot of the amateurs. You see him at the events. He's helping everybody out. He runs both of the open and the AM division with his dogs. He's competitive at both levels, and he helps bring a lot of people into the sport. His daughter, Allie Grace, they run the collegiate SRS together. They've had good success with it. It's really cool to see them work together, and he kind of passes this down. He's a little left, right there, but I think that's what he wanted. He wanted to get that early cast away from that poison bird to maintain control. Good spot to be.
Well, that's a good view too. I mean, he did communicate. You're not
Had a
picking
little
up
bit of
that
a left
bird.
turn when he entered, but he got in going right. I think right there, the poison bird just gets back in their head, and they're not sure if they need to stay with it or get out. Got out a little early.
Trying to set him up to get to the tip of the point to get the cast off. He blew
Their
there.
double whistle.
Double. Well, he's back in the pool.
Ron's just so good at staying composed in those situations. You know, that dog bails out and gets out in a spot you don't want him to, and he's really good at staying calm and steady. And
Dog did not.
from our view, it looks easy right there, but those trees make that depth perception really hard right there.
Well, and that bird is not that visible. And with this wind, you don't wind it on that side. These younger dogs aren't quite they don't have the experience to kind of know where to look. You see right there, and I don't know if he winded it, but he definitely, we know where he didn't wind it. Well,
Not what Ron wanted, but he stayed in control and got through it. Didn't pick up a poison bird, avoided all the major penalties.
I tell you what, that dog looks like he's got a lot to work with.
Yeah, he's a good dog. He's done well with him for the little time that he's been on the scene. We always, you always got that breakout year, and you're always happy if you can get your dog qualified for the Crown Championship on your breakout year. So Ron and Chop have had a pretty good year so far. I'm sure he's very happy with the progress that they've made together.
I'm going to try to get a little bit of a time on these dogs, but they were doing this in about 6 minutes a dog yesterday. Because I'm pretty sure they got a pretty big test planned after this. They'd love to get that in and done today. Conditions are overcast. It's, let me check and see what it is. It's about low 70s right now.
Next, we're going to have Mark Carter and Padre. Mark and Padre are one of those dogs. So they're kind of always in that running for the High Point Amateur Dog of the Year. He qualified this year with a 5th, 2 thirds, 2 seconds, and 2 fourths. So they've been there, done that, seen it all. Mark's from Vidalia, Louisiana. He trains over there with Leo Joseph and Rivertown Retrievers. Mark spends a lot of time working with his dogs and is very dedicated to the game.
Ooh, he likes that. And you are able to talk to him there. Boys, are you talking to him right now?
I am. I'm going to say sit, but the hard part is I know he wants to re-heel Padre right there, but if you turn the dog away from the bird, so like if he were to say heel and that dog turns away from that bird, there's an avoiding the test penalty. So that avoiding the test can apply. And there we go, Fancy and Dustin, our first scores, a 34.
Nice start.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the ponds over in Woodville, Mississippi. If Leo has there some. If I'm wrong, it's like 60 acres of technical ponds, and some of that Rex Car CL2 water designs. So Padre's no stranger to water blinds with the grounds that they train on.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's where I cut my teeth at CL2.
Yeah.
And CL2 stands for, that was Rex Carr, his kennel name was Car Lab. And CL1 was one location and CL2 was the other location.
Okay.
And I spent many a day on CL2. CL2 is a very technical piece of water in Northern California. And it's been copied all over the country. 98 for Ron. And Chop.
Padre's a family dog. Mark and his wife come to a lot of events. His wife's a big supporter, and she loves on those dogs before and after they run, and probably more than Mr. Mark once or two. He's got a field trial background, but him and Padre have played multiple games together, and they've been really focused on this SRS side of things. Mark's a big hunter, so I'm sure Padre's got a lot of time in the duck blind and the dove field.
Dog's changing direction quite a bit, willingly at this point. Here you don't know if they're avoiding the poison bird or wanting to dig the land. This is a... Yeah. Ooh, there's that.
See, that's one of the ones you're looking for if they're going to give him the penalty there. I'm not sure if he got in the water or if he stopped him short of it.
Ooh, that's...
It's right there on the edge. It's kind of one of them deals that's going to be up to the judge's discretion on that one. It's hard to tell, being down in that hole.
You got to credit that change of direction helped there, though. We'll see. Dog's being pretty honest here. A lot of them are climbing hard towards shore here, coming towards us. Yeah, and I love that handling. Hey, he gave that first cast and it looked like, well, maybe he might get in, but he didn't take any chances. That second whistle, I'll take that 2-point investment in any day of the week. Comes out right on the bird. Ending was lovely. Middle part is where he's going to pick up some of his points.
Yeah, if he avoided that 50-point penalty, it's going to be a pretty good run. But that 50-point penalty, if he did end up in fact getting that water, that's going to hurt. Again, that left piece of water in between that blind is going to be a 50-point penalty there. So that's what we're looking to see if he avoided. I know he went down there close to the shore, but it's hard to tell from that angle if he actually got in the water or not.
Well, if it's hard for us to tell with all our camera angles, you know it's really hard to tell.
That's right.
There. Judges are sitting. You notice, I think they were sitting the whole time, so they got a little lower view. He definitely went over the berm and went out of sight a second. My guess is if he didn't blow that coming to bring him out of there and he'd have gone through there and came out, that definitely would have probably pulled that penalty. Well, we'll see.
I saw him. You want them both out there?
So my read on that, when I made that comment, I said, I don't know if he's pushing off the poison bird or wanting to go to land. He's pushing off the poison bird.
Right.
Because he was so cooperative on the water part.
Right.
Next dog is dog 17, 170. 30.
You're trying so hard to read the dog's body language and their attitude throughout the entire blind because it gives you the information you need to make decisions as a handler. Can I gamble or do I have to be defensive?
Next up, we're going to have Nick Morris and Lincoln. Lincoln comes from the Taylor Farm Kennels camp. They've got a slew of good dogs over there. Nick's a fantastic handler. Lincoln it's had a pretty good trial going so far. He qualified for this year's crown by winning an amateur event at Atlantic Flyway Retriever Club. So knowing that you've come in here with a win gives you a little bit more confidence coming into this, knowing that this dog's got what it takes to compete at the top level. and following that bird all the way back.
Well, once again, are you saying no or sit?
So that's kind of one of those deals. You're just probably going to say sit because there's an avoiding the test penalty in the Super Retriever series. So if you're doing any indication of them to get them to look off that bird or anything at that point, the judges can always apply an
So
avoiding.
if you
the
said
test.
here to keep them from looking at it, that would be avoiding.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
see, that's
Got a little bit of a fat line there, but better than going skinny. Because there's so many factors and everything that they put into these tests, that avoiding the test penalty is brought in to keep people challenging the test. So people don't try to do things to avoid the difficulty, and so everybody gets the same level of difficulty for every dog.
well, this guy's the thing that.
Oh,
Can he see him?
got a little pop, but then
Yeah.
he turned on his own and
Well,
got back in control.
you could tell if that dog could talk to you. He was wondering, like, is it okay to get on this
That's
point or
right.
not? It's the same thing that got the dog to go to the right initial line. Was the same thing that got him to I mean, he was real water conscious, real disciplined in his approach. Even so much that he said, "Dad, is it okay to get on this land or not?" And that's kind of what that pop. When
Mark
there's
Carter and
90
Padre with a 94, so I'm going to go ahead and say they got that 50-point penalty because they had pretty good smooth blinds other than that. Made an attempt for that poison bird, but a good whistle timing and got him off.
Handler's got a nice rhythm and flow.
One of these days we need to do a side-by-side of Steve Endurance and the amateurs that handle with him, and you can see how well they mirror him and handle him and understand his coaching.
See how he sped up? That's a break for the bird. Let's see if he gets the
Good whistle time in
great
there.
whistle. Great whistle. Does he go verbal? Yes. You see how that verbal turned him around? If he did, because he looked at the poison bird and that verbal said, "Don't you even think about it." Got to put him on the point.
Good job.
Really smooth. Really just. Really technically solid there. See Steven over here walking around. He looks at the dog and then he looks away. Yeah, that's, I do a lot of seminars and day camps and I see people that I've never seen before and I can pretty quickly tell who they've trained with by their handling style.
That's right.
Where they put their hand, their posture. But more than just his style, his composure, slow rhythm, calm. You never felt he was in panic mode.
That's right.
It was really.
And that slow rhythm, it helps keep the dog's anxiety low and trust that handler and what they're asking them to do.
But even though he was calm and slow and methodical, he wasn't slow on that whistle when the dog
right.
made a break for the bird. I mean, he was right on it.
Quick on the whistle, slow to cast.
That's what I said. Blow fast and cast slow.
called 17 next year. 175.
So Nick had this, he's got 2 dogs in this,
Yep.
and so that's why he ran Lincoln a little early, because he's got Lobo.
So next we're gonna have Sam, McCurry, and Cedar.
Okay.
And Sam and Cedar's qualified this year at the Habitat Flats event by getting 3rd place.
All right, here we go. Guns up.
We're
Guns up.
clipping right along.
Dogs in line.
There's some discussion going on with the judges there. I think they're just interpreting things. All right, here we go. It's like a little mouse running across the ground. You notice most handlers take the dog off their feet and re-heel them to some degree or another. Now, this gentleman's got an interesting, he snaps his fingers to direct the dog where he wants to look. I watched him in the first series, so a little different style. Ooh, you and I just held our breath at a minute, didn't we? Okay. Took a look over at the gunner who threw through the other poison bird. Tell you what, sometimes this cast can be tricky because you get that right-handed cast, you're just going to the tip of the point, but the dog's looking at a big lake behind him. Okay.
Some dogs that makes them want to get in the water. Some dogs that creates a wall and makes them want to stop short, even more short, or go left. Sam and Cedar do a lot of training themselves. He does a lot of solo training. He's got his training group that he trains with every now and then. But Sam and Cedar have come a long ways, doing a lot of solo training and putting in the time and the effort.
Well, that's got to be inspiration to a lot of the audience, a lot of the people I work with, because you just don't have access to big groups, and when somebody can find creative ways to do it and be successful, that's awesome. And he's off. You could hear a little bit of excitement on that send, and you goes with a right angle back silent. Makes a move for the bird. Let's see if he can get this
Good time to have a left sit on that one.
Yes.
Got it. Whistle.
Yeah.
You really want to get into that next piece of water right there with momentum going right, if you can.
That was well done. You're a little slow when that whistle gets over the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
You blow too soon and you cast him right back into the poison bird. Going to come out a little bit left here, though. He's going to need to work on
a good job of sweating her.
Yes.
Now he's dry. So now we just need to worry about getting back in.
Look at him really taking his time. He's going to need, I just try to get to the tip of the point and then get him in the water. He got back in, but I think the handler probably couldn't see him very well because he elected to. Oh. Tell you what, you could. Tell you what, you can get through the water part. Sometimes have a little trouble on the back end.
That finish is hard.
Yeah, because you've got the dike or the berm that creates the pond, and it's not very wide, and they go over the backside. They're out of sight.
Cedar is one of front seat dog. Sam says she rides shotgun with him pretty much everywhere they go, training, hunting, the whole 9 yards. She's right there with him all the time. So they've got a really good bond together, and they do a great job. Great team.
You don't get to this event without it, and you certainly don't get to the third series without being a great team. Well, Cedar completed that round in a little bit over 5 minutes. Pretty speedy.
Next dog number is dog 70.
So who do we have next here? I don't know if Nick's coming up.
Usually they're going to put
Lobo?
2 dogs between you, so I would assume it's going to be Satchmo and Kevin, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, I'll get him. All right, here we go. Dog the line.
I've just called the dog the line.
Yep, this is going to be Satchmo and Kevin Baggott. They are from Georgia. I know Kevin and Leah do a lot of training together. Trains down there with Justin Hergert, and they've got some good grounds. They've done that. That whole team's had a very successful year. This dog qualified with 2.6, 2/4, 2/3, a second, and a first. So they've kind of been in there. I'm sure I believe he might have been one of our high point amateur dogs for the year.
He liked that short poison bird. He doesn't want to come back, does he? Kevin's working hard to change this dog's attitude on this blind, but maybe he really wants to look in where that crippled bird crawled into. Yeah, he got the look he wanted. He got a pretty good line.
Good whistle there.
All right, Cedar comes in with a 79.
79. I'm gonna assume most of that's gonna be on the finish of that blind there.
Yeah.
Satchmo's a young dog, and Kevin's puts in a lot of work, and seeing that this dog's had this success at a young age gets you excited for the future to see. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of these two.
Did you catch Nick's score with
No,
Lincoln?
I don't know that if it popped up, I missed it. So I don't believe that we've gotten it yet.
Okay, because
They're just probably sending them in order, that running order getting switched up a little bit.
Oh, I gotcha.
Got a little confusion there.
All right. He did a good job of talking him off that poison bird on the first blind. Let's see if he can do it again, because Satchmo's Looks very interested. So he's making him reheel, trying to get. And what's the rule here? Got a part of the dog has to be.
Yeah, all sins got to be from the mat.
Well,
slid by it.
I'll be darned. He had to work at it, but he's on both of them. He got good starts. Ooh. See Satch come back and find him.
Yeah.
He blew that whistle. Dog came peeking up over the ledge here to find his handler. That's typically a pretty good indication of a dog who's trying to work with you. He's got to get his butt back in the water here. I say, get your moon in the lagoon here. He kind of drops down to kind of slow the tempo down. He waited. Pretty critical cast here.
Here!
That firm here to reel him in a little bit was the key to getting that last cast. Well, it comes out, puts him on the bird.
Kevin says Satchmo's got a lot of energy, but he's got the off switch in the house, and he's a very compliant dog to work with, and that showed there. He had a pretty good teamwork on those blinds. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, he did.
Only hiccup he really had is a little bit of trouble getting off that point, but he did a good job of staying in control.
You think Kevin's having fun?
I think so.
Yeah, that's good for him. Our landowner here is driving by. He's interested. He's on his four-wheeler, and I talked to him a little bit last night, and he really enjoys watching all this.
Don't rush yourself.
Looks like we're taking a short little break here. Okay. I think the coordinator here, Matt, is out there just maybe checking on the equipment. Luke's going to step away for a second. Well, folks, I hope you're enjoying this. This is good stuff, and you're seeing some of the best amateur handlers, and they're doing a great job. And they've rivaled the professionals in this event. First series, they actually outperformed them in the beginning, but you got to take a lot of pride in that. And and the folks that work with some of those professionals that are competing, they take a lot of pride in those team efforts. Really a perfect day for working dogs. Low 70s. We've got some cloud cover. Light breeze. For the most part, left to right or a little bit angling from left to right. You'd think sometimes the bright sunshine would be helpful, but it does sometimes create shadows, and oftentimes can make the handler a little harder to see. Well, you're seeing some of our sponsors there. You got the Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission. Yeti provided some coolers, and Usually that big tub there is full of ice and cold beer, but it might be by the end of this. But that's what we're using to put our birds in. And so we're taking a short break. Everybody's gathering themselves. We're in the third series here. We're a little bit about a third of the way through our 18 dogs. We started this, so well, how many dogs have we run here? We've done 1, 2, 3, maybe 7.
Super Retriever Series Crown Championship would like to thank all our gifting sponsors for their donations to our competitor teams. The Super Retriever Series Crown Championship would like to thank Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission for the opportunity to showcase our retriever teams. We would also like to thank the sponsors of the Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission.
Well, welcome back. We had a little short break there. I just stepped away for a minute. We've got Nick Morris, who is getting ready to run Lobo here in a second, coming to line right now.
Lobo had our low score in the first series with a 3. Jeez.
Unbelievable.
That's about as close to perfect as you can get.
Have you ever seen a 0?
I've seen a 0 a few times back in the day. I think Steven and Dude had a 0 and a crown, and I think Lyle and General may have had a 0 and a crown before, but not very many of them. Lobo qualified for this year's crown with an amateur 3rd and an amateur 2nd. He's also an SRS Open champion. Been handled by Stephen Durns before in a few events and done well. Nick's one of the few handlers with 2 dogs in this top 18. So he's run this blind before, so he can kind of see if he can find those pitfalls from the first one and help improve this one. What'd they say Lincoln's score with Nick was? 50?
56 is what I heard from Steven, so. We're yet to see Kevin's score with Satch. Well, sitting here looking at the scores here, up to this point, a little bit like yesterday where the dog that ran first has got the lowest combined score so far. Sometimes you get up there first and you set the bar, put the pressure on the later handlers.
Yeah, it's always nice to do when you run first. Get up there and hit it pretty hard and let everybody else have it behind you.
Nick does a little reset there. You can see Satch you could tell he's looking around a little bit. He wants to be good. He's a little concerned about kind of what he's looking at. He's
pushing off that poison bird a little bit,
but he's moving nice now. He's got a rhythm going. He's going to need to get some right hand stuff here, yeah. Took a glance over at the bird.
good verbal cast there.
Is that the perfect hole between those two bushes?
That is.
I think that is the exact line, but
You got a little bit of a left turn there. You'd really like to see him give you a little right step when they get through that hole, but still a good spot.
look at him trying to peer over the deal and get. I always tell my handlers, look where you don't want to see them first.
Right.
Which is left. I mean, you got to. The quicker you get them when they come out left, better chance you've got to get them back online and finish this
Good
thing.
whistle there. Nice.
All right.
Nick's a really good handler. He's gonna.
Boy, he's got excellent composure.
Yeah, I see a lot of success in his future in this game. He had difficulty here finding the cameraman station.
Yeah, they come off that last point, and if they come over a little left, you don't see them till they almost get out of the water.
Yep.
Picked up the caster fusel there at the end.
That was a pretty good run for Lobo and Nick.
Comes in with a 103 combined score into this series. We haven't seen Satchmo's score come up, have you?
I have not.
There it is right there. 28.
Wow, nice job. About 15 of those points came off just getting off that point.
28.
Is that our low score for the day so
That's
far?
our low score for the day. Previous low score was
34.
was Fancy with a 34.
Here we go. Guns up. Dogs in line.
They just mic'd up Nick on the back here, and they're doing a little post-run interview. He looks as cool on camera as he does on the line. All right.
This is Paul Aganov and Cash. I believe Paul and Cash, they're from Minnesota, yep. I see them up there, up north when we're up there for the summer quite a bit. Some of the field trials, those SRS events up there. Paul qualified this year with a second, a third, and a first. He's an SRS amateur champion. Had a good year coming into this event with some good momentum.
Paul had one of our lowest scores in the first series at a 15. Really did well. And he's going to switch sides. Cash has got that big long tail.
Ooh. The water.
I don't know if Paul intended to spit the whistle
I
out of
don't
his
know
mouth
if that
there.
was on purpose.
I heard you say, ooh, didn't it? Isn't that what you were thinking too?
There you go. He got in that next piece. He rolled off. Wasn't looking for a bird there.
Well,
Got it. Pretty good.
he was thinking he was going across the big pond. Hold that thought. There we go.
Lobo and Nick with a 59. Cash and Paul loves to play these games and run these trials together and have a great bond, but he says when he gets home at night, Cash is a mama's boy. He likes to lay on the couch with mama and get the cuddles, and they lean back on the couch and mirror each other's movements. Gotta love the family bond with these animals.
Kind of ironic here. I'm looking at Nick has got the exact same combined score with both his dogs. My calculations are correct. All right.
We've had a few runoffs in this event, and I had to actually, last year, I had to have a runoff with myself at the Habitat Flats event. I tied both dogs in the last series tied with the same score, so we had to go into a runoff.
Well, you're gonna have to tell me more about that when we get a break here. All right, there you spotted the poison bird. Got a good timely whistle.
Got in. Scary spot for a verbal cast. But again, it's always how you train, and you got to know your dog.
I'll be darned.
Got it.
Did he turn? Which way did he turn on that cast?
I couldn't tell. It's
I
too
thought
dark.
he turned
It
to
looked
the
like he turned left, but then went right.
Oh my goodness!
He turned left and then saw the water and made the right choice.
I tipped over in my chair there.
Paul and Cash always do a good job. We got some scores here.
Yeah, I was right. Nick's got one. There's our board there.
So Dustin's jumped up from 18th to sitting pretty right now. He's jumped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dogs.
So we're going to lose.
Needs to jump one more to guarantee his spot.
You just got to beat 6 dogs here.
Yep.
To get into to make a punch your ticket to the 4th.
36. 36. Next dog is 26. 26. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this should be Jason and Shaker. Is that?
Yep. Jason, Flaster, and Shaker. They're from Nebraska. A lot of people know Jason from his dog Cash. Cash. He's actually on the logo of the SRS banner, I believe. But this little dog Shaker she's 6 years old. She's a little ball of fire, but they do a really good job together, and Jason's done an incredible job with her. They qualified this year with a 4th, a 3rd, and a 6th in the amateur division. Look at her. I wish my dog would look off that bird like that and look for the next thing.
She said, what are we doing
She
now?
said, hey now, let's do something if we ain't getting that one. Jason was doing some pre-crown training a while back and was running a water blind, and a little shaker came back with a 4-pound bass in her mouth.
Oh my goodness.
It was hilarious.
Well, you don't need a landing net then, I guess.
Good line.
Well, that's
A
right.
little right, but like to see the wateriness going into these 2 blinds.
Gotta make sure she gets that point on the left, though. But see if she maintains her watery attitude here. Yep, she does. Well done.
We all love fishing. Maybe she thinks with every jump you get to go fishing again.
I know. So were you there when
I wasn't. He sent me the video, and he posted the video on Facebook of her coming back with that bass in her mouth. It was fun. It was pretty fun, especially that little dog made that fish look huge.
oh my goodness.
Jason's one of those amateurs. He's a great ambassador for the sport. He really helps bring it to his area. He hosts an event over there in Nebraska. He's a good handler. He's been in it for a while. Very willing to help and works hard at this.
Kicks her off with a nice firm back. Another very composed handler there.
Give it a little peek there. She's looking at it, but she's made the decision to push off of it twice now.
Does she come back and find him?
She did. Now stay watery. I think he got that stopped her out of sight, trying to get that verbal, hoping that she was going to turn into more water. Trying to maintain that control.
Let's see.
Got in the water.
He gets it. He didn't get quite as much as he wanted.
No.
Pop up left.
So we're seeing a lot more of this today than we did yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday we saw them trying to go for the poison bird more, and the wind is the opposite. So what I think they're doing is when they're getting that water, they smell that blind planter station.
Yes.
And so they're thinking it's going to be in those trees. So you're seeing more of that beaching early at the end and having a rough finish. Yesterday that wind was right to left, so you see a lot more of the dogs go for the poison birds because they would see it and smell it. So they're just the wind change makes some aspects of it a little easier, but makes some aspects of it a little harder.
So I hardly ever say I wish I wouldn't have blown a whistle. But did you see when the dog had decided to break off the poison bird
Yeah.
on his own, and he had committed to blowing?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he
You
wouldn't
feel-
have casted right. So he
Right.
casted left, and he actually got too much, and it put him pretty hard left and made the end of that blind a little more challenging. But it might have been a whistle in hindsight.
Wish you could suck back in.
Yeah, you could have taken back. But boy, that's a rare case.
Rather blow it than not, and then be at the
Oh, I
poison
know.
bird.
But just as he blew, the dog
Yeah.
was breaking for the water and off the poison bird, and then the dog had nowhere to cast, but a little more left. He's peeking over his shoulder, trying to get an idea what his score was. I think what you're seeing there is I don't think the judges or the handlers can, when those dogs are skinny in that last water, I don't think they see them until they get out.
Yeah.
Judges are probably hitting them a little bit because they hit them for that on the second series blind.
Right, right.
They wanted to see maintain control and visibility. So I'm not 100% sure, but there's lots of discussion, and we've had a couple here that have done that.
We got our 3 judges there analyzing the score. Kevin.
So we've got with Jimmy Rogers, Tellis Calhoun, and Tommy's Bartolacci. I had to double take that.
That's right. And we've got our SRS rules reps there, Kevin Redman and Matt Emerson.
And what's Marty's role?
He's doing all the scores and keeping all of our scores in line and making sure that information gets passed on to us.
Marty's been doing this, pretty much, I think, since day one is what he said. Look at him there, he just writing that score down. I tell you.
Dog to the line.
We've got Casey, Parker, and Bailey. This is going to be her 7th Crown Championship. She's 10 years old. Bailey and Casey are kind of the iconic name in this game. They've been around for a while. Bailey's got a little bit of a spunky attitude that everybody likes to watch. Very animated. And Bailey, they actually bred Bailey to Stroker. And Toombs is one of our open competitors this year, running with Clark Kennington. He's had a pretty good run so far. Yeah, this is Toombs' 2nd year at the Crown, so he's got to compete with his mama 2 years in a row.
Well, Toombs posted our low score yesterday on the water blind with a 17.
Toombs is a good dog.
So let's see if the mother-son act, I should say. See if Mama can do what her.
See if Bailey's going to talk to us today.
She can squeal the tires.
Yes, she does. That's what she's known for.
Well, good start, but she broke a little left towards a little bit more land. Let's see.
Got it. Casey Parker and Ron Anderson are best friends. They've known each other for a long time. They trained together. They went to college together. You know, they're rooting each other on. Other their competitors are always rooting each other on in this event.
Well, Cash and Paul put up a nice solid
36.
score there, 36.
She's looking for that cripple bird. Bailey may be 10, but she acts like she's 3.
Goes with that verbal left-handed back. That's the hole between the two clumps
Right.
that you really want.
Jason
Can you see them before they get out of the water here?
You can see them as soon as they start touching. About the time they start touching bottom, you can see them. But a black dog with that dark water can be hard to see. Usually, by the time you see the ripples, they're up on land. Come on, Bailey. Can't see the dog. She got in. Not as much as he wants, but
We've had a number in a row here. Just
I really think they're smelling that blind planter station today more so than they were.
well, you get a wind shift, and
Yep.
one challenge gets less, and one gets more.
Still a pretty good run. Avoided all the major penalties, stayed in control, didn't pick up a poison bird.
Can be hard. It's got to be difficult to tell if that dog got the water from the judge's standpoint in the end. We're looking at a different camera view.
You can see it more than you think over there from the line. I think those trees kind of create that shoreline, and so you can actually see the splash and the water movement. That point doesn't hide as much of it as it appears. It's a little bit of a steeper bank there.
I'm trying to think who it was yesterday, but they give you all the lateral movement you want. Is there any reason you wouldn't want to move way right to manage that last point? Because you're going to have better vision to the left.
So you know those two bushes we keep talking about is the perfect spot to go in. If you get too far right, those bushes actually block the point, and you have to go so far right so the dog can be able to see you.
Obscures your vision.
So it's almost better to be left and walk into that cast than it is to be right.
The one thing I noticed when I saw the back camera view is you clear the tents, and your background is better. All right, here we go.
This is Dustin Owens. He's his second dog. This is Ranger. Ranger qualified this year at Southern Way Retriever Challenge with a 3rd place.
Yeah, we've got a couple of handlers. Yeah.
Very calm, sitting pretty.
Look at that. You gotta love those good line manners.
Calm dog and a calm handler, usually a good team for a test like this.
If the judges do what they kind of described to me for their next series, their wind is setting up perfect for them. And it,
Dustin says Ranger's still got a lot of puppy and a very goofy personality. Dustin's got a couple of young kids and a young boy, so I'm sure Ranger gets his goofy playiness with them kids all the time. Got it. You know, I always like to look at the numbers of the dogs to see if there was any kind of advantage in the draw. You know, when you see the running order, sometimes you'll see a clump of a lot of Bailey and Casey with a 71. But in this, you can kind of really see if you look at the numbers from the first series,
Yes.
they're all over the map. You know, so I think that shows that the test was, you know, I'm sure there was some times it was harder than others, but you got a lot of variable all the way through it, which is good to see.
you see that in nationals all the time. You know, you'll see a stretch of 10 dogs and nobody's back, and then
Right.
you'll see 10 dogs and 8 of the 10 are back.
Right.
It just conditions shift a little bit.
Especially when series go on for days, you know. Water blinds are usually a strength for Dustin and his dogs, so I'm sure this is a good test for what he wanted to see, and he's going to give Ranger every opportunity he can to climb the ladder here.
We could see him.
Yeah, he looked at it.
This is a pretty critical cast right here, but he got it.
He got it.
Nice job of handling work right there. He kicked him off the poison bird. Then he went with a big silent right to try to keep this dog from coming out too far
Yeah,
left.
trying to get him re-engage the water.
He's angling across pretty well, but he's gonna come out a little bit left. All right, he'd like to bunch in a row with the Wiggles with a little better commitment. This guy's going to swim the back
To the
half.
bird.
And you can see, if you don't appreciate that dog's angling that exit. And
That's probably our
beautiful.
best finish of the day so far.
Yeah.
Good job, Dustin.
Cast off the point and all the way to the peg. Well, he said he's a good water blind dog, and that it showed there, didn't it? Probably going to pull a pretty solid score. So we've got to be, are we past halfway here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh yeah. Actually, that's our 11th dog right there. So we only have 7 to go. Which, 10 o'clock now? Probably around 11 o'clock finish or a little bit before. Well, there you go. 36.
36, nice run.
Didn't take him long to come up with that score, did it?
This is Robinette and Wiggles. Rob and Wiggles have had a pretty good year. They qualified with a 3rd, a 2nd, and a 4th in the amateur division. And Wiggles has been a crown finalist in his past in the open division. Back in 2020, he was got 3rd place, I believe it was. That was the year that I actually was able to win the crown, and Wiggles is who we were chasing the whole time. He started off good and stayed strong. We had to put some work in to catch up to him. Just rock solid. So he had him on the right there and switched to the left. Most of our two-sided handlers have had him on the left and switched him to the right for that blind.
Well, and somebody sent me that question and said, what is the theory behind that? And I said, why would you be on the left? I guess the only thing is if you think that your dog has a tendency to flare a poison bird or
Push.
or want to go out to sea, that you would. Well,
There's your reason. That's why it pays to know your dog. Rob trains down with Michael Dimmer. Windy Hill Retrievers. They've had a good year all around, their whole crew. Michael actually had the youngest dog here qualified for the crown. It was Cajun.
be careful.
Dog wants the water. Still a good job. Good job, Rob.
Yeah.
How old they say Wiggles was? Wiggles is what, 8?
Here.
Well, it sounds like Wiggles got quite a personality to match his name. I said yesterday, do you think his buddies made fun of him in the locker room? And then I watched what he did in the field. And I said, no, nobody's making.
A lot of these dogs are family dogs, and he likes to come inside and relax. And a little push off that poison bird there. Now he's going to get that cast. Wiggles is out of Trav, which I think is a dog you're familiar with, Pat.
Oh, indeed, I didn't. Okay, oh yeah, I won Trav's first Open. Trav is one of the only dogs in AKC history to win a national and not be titled when he won it.
Wow. Wiggles almost did that in the Crown. When he got third place in the Crown, he didn't have his title yet.
Chad Baker won back-to-back nationals with the father and then the son.
Wow.
Trav was the son.
It's in.
He's
just skirting it.
Not quite the ending he was looking for, is it?
Rob's pretty new to this game as a handler himself. He's been doing it for about a year now, but he's come into it full force. He's got the addiction like we all do and got hooked and has been traveling around. He actually came all the way to Texas this year to run some events with us to do his best at getting his dogs qualified and titled, and he just really enjoys it. Great handler. Glad to have him in the sport and hope to see a lot of him in the future.
You're always sitting there saying, what could I have done different to make that a little better? You know, you're coming back and if I had to guess, remember we wondered why he went on the left on the, because I think Wiggles is trying to be real safe and avoid the poison birds. And
right.
Because he pushed left on the second blind. And then you wonder, are they avoiding the water or are they avoiding the poison bird? But this dog didn't avoid the water in the first one.
Right.
So I have to believe that this dog, when you say no bird,
he knows what it means.
Jesus. Sometimes some dogs I don't even ever say no. I just let it fade.
Right.
Because if you sweat them, you can't get them near it. So.
I've got a dog named Henry that's a lot like that. You just got to line up and run the blind. You try to emphasize that poison bird too much. You get too much push, and it becomes you can't get any cast towards it.
And I got to believe that's kind of what happened there. Now, put him up high in that point made it hard to get back in that last piece of water where he wanted to be. I think they're probably trying to decide from their angle if some of these dogs, it's taken a little while, if they got that last piece of water or not.
Yeah.
Because you can hear a lot of back and forth dialogue on a couple of these, and then a couple scores come in immediately.
Right.
can see these handlers lining up,
Yeah.
getting up close. They want to watch the dogs ahead of them to get all the information they can.
A little bit of a gust there.
We've got Tim Williams and Caleb coming up here in just a second. Judges are still
Deciphering on that
Yeah.
that last run.
exactly. I tell you, you know, when it goes fast like that, they're writing Fast and Furious, and they're trying to compare, make sure they get it just right.
Next up, we're going to have Tim Williams and Caleb. Tim and Caleb qualified with a first and a third this year in the amateur division, and then Caleb also has an open win from this year with JC Strange. Tim does a lot of his training with JC from Cripple Creek Retrievers. Tim has put a lot of effort into training this dog up to this level. He's had Caleb since he was 2 years old, and he's kind of taken him to that next step, getting him ready for the all-age stakes type of stuff in the SRS amateur division. And he does a good job chasing it.
Did I hear you say this dog won an open this year?
Won an open and SRS open.
At SRS Open, okay,
Yeah.
not a field trail open.
Right,
I think I
correct,
thought, oh, is he good? Because the Open National Championship, they're all getting set in your back
Yeah.
down in Giddings. 'Cause that's about to kick off here pretty shortly.
Yeah, he got an SRS open win with JC at the Maple Ridge Retrievers event. And I think Tim told JC that he's taking the reins on this one.
Here! No!
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
Get in here.
Oh, no.
No, sit.
Sit. Sit.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker to get out of that.
No, sit.
Well, it was more than poor old Caleb could stand, isn't it?
Yeah, that drag's hard. It's hard to watch. It's a lot of temptation for a lot of dogs. I know that breaks Tim's heart, but they've had a good year. They had a good crown. They're still got to be proud of where they made it to. I know they wanted to get further, and they were sitting in a good spot, but we're still proud of them.
Well, that's the agony of defeat right there.
Right. That's right.
Oh,
Wiggles and Rob got.
you didn't see it coming. I mean, he
No,
went from
stood
sitting
up
there
a little bit, but
and then just boom, he was gone. All right, there's your Wiggles score.
it's not the way you want to get disqualified on this one. But it's part of it. Time to start getting ready for next year.
Yeah, you're right. You get it. So we got Clint and Jig coming up. Is that
Yep.
correct? Is that what you got going?
Yep, it's going to be Clint Sullivan and Jig. This dog he's out of Chief, who was an SRS champion that was ran by Chuck McCall. This one is a father-son team on this dog. Taylor Sullivan is Clint's son, and they take turns running him and training him together, and they've done a really fantastic job with this dog together, and they've both equally had success with him. But this event is you get qualified for the crown by who ran you in that event. It's a team qualification, and Clint got him qualified, so Pops is taking it over this one. Clint and Taylor are from the St. Francisville area, and they host an event down there themselves. They've got a really good group of amateurs that are really good ambassadors of the sport. They host a great event. They do a good job. They're always a joy to be around. And their dogs are always good, and they run with a good attitude. Clint and Taylor have done all the training themselves on this one. They've got a couple other dogs coming up with themselves that we'll be seeing more of them in the future. They're still young. Woo.
Well, that was a critical cast, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Be a little left. You need to get right here. Tweet. Number 97, I like seeing a dog that had to run early, make the cut.
Yes.
It's always nerve-wracking getting that early draw, and then when you can be successful with it, it gives you a good feeling. I think he may be one of 2 chocolate dogs we have in this cut dog rig that's sitting in first place in the open division. And Jig.
Rig and Jig, huh?
Yep, those are 2 chocolate dogs at this one. Come on now, Jig.
There's a break for the poison bird, and
Oh, man.
Oh, boy, when you saw him, it looked like he was just methodical and control. And when that dog just kicked it into gear.
Them log legs can get over there quick.
Back-to-back DQs.
Jig's only 3 years old. He's got a long future ahead in this game. Once again, man, you just hate to see him go out, but you got to be happy for him for getting here and having a good year. And I'm sure they'll be here again. We're going to jumble up the running order here a little bit because Sean's going to have 2 dogs back to back. So I think we're going to see Sean, Jackson, and Mie come up first. Sean hosts the Firewater Farms event in Arkansas, and they was voted the best event of the year and the best award presented at the event. They've got some phenomenal grounds up there, and Sean and his crew do a good job of hosting an event. Grand Hunting Retriever Champion and Qualified All Age, kind of when you think of an SRS dog, that's kind of what you're looking for.
That is. You see a lot of Q Qualified All Age, QA2. The drool dripping on.
See him cock that head and he goes, ooh, what's that little thing? And that drool, there's a good picture. Good looking dog.
Mm-hmm. Comes back, pulls off. Ooh. Trying to figure out, where do you want me to go? going to do another reset here. I always said attitude first, spine second, head third, eyes fourth. And all of this kind of resetting is to change your attitude.
Yeah.
So we're doing a blind, we're not picking up that mark. If you get the right attitude, you're one whistle away from a great blind.
That's right.
You'd love to get the initial line, but I think it's more critical that you got the right attitude. And this dog certainly has taken the seriousness of this blind. You'll learn. He says, I don't want to get in trouble.
She really wants that poison bird. You see that when you go from watching that exciting bird being dragged in and bounced around to rerun a blind, you're going to see a little bit of a change in demeanor because they really wanted that poison bird. Got in.
Well, we just heard Matey's dating profile that she loves her belly scratch and loves to eat. It sounds like me.
That's right.
I said, wait a minute, that's my profile. So Sean got into this as an avid duck hunter, like a lot of us, and that's how I got into it. What about you?
Yep. Got into it from losing too many birds and needing a dog. Sean's from Arkansas, where a lot of people consider the duck capital of the world, and he went from wanting just a good hunting dog to getting competitive and wanting the best hunting dog and going into this game full force. Now he's got multiple dogs that he competes with. There you go.
So you talked about losing ducks. My best friend growing up, Andy Attar, who's also in this, it was the day that I went in over my waders trying to get a duck. Figured, there's got to be a better way.
That's
than this.
right.
I said, don't they have dogs to do this stuff?
You got to get that cast away from the water there, and it puts you into that poison bird.
Yeah, I tell you what, when you get it, when they accelerate like that, well, they're doing it for a reason. Because there's
Good whistle timing. He's keeping that communication.
He slows down his cast there. And
There you
just
go.
changed your mind. So you change that tempo a little
Now
bit.
you
Make
got
the
to cast
dog
back
run.
towards it.
He goes with the verbal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job,
Yeah.
Sean, maintaining control,
Yeah.
staying with it.
Yeah, because he had a couple whistles there. He really needed to tell her, you are not supposed to pick up that bird, because we've had back-to-back DQs, so it's to break that trend. Came out a little bit left there.
Yep. Tough to finish.
took some hits there. You know, she had a little bit of a rough start.
She got on a little early. She got them off, but then as soon as she wrapped that point, she got out right away.
Matey comes in there in 3rd place in the amateur division.
Sean stuck with it though. He had got some close calls there, but he did a good job of handling and getting back in control and getting that blind finished and leaving it up to the judges and the competitors to see if he gets to move on.
Well, you know, and I think that's a mark of a great handler. Not everybody can run a great blind when the dog's fired on all cylinders.
Right.
But when you can salvage a blind and survive, when you're not in exactly the right spot, well, we've all been there. And hopefully that's the case here. But he comes in with a pretty good cushion, so hopefully. Comes in with a 60. You just got to be better than at least 6 of the dogs.
That's right.
To get to the 12 dog cut.
Our next dog is going to be Elias Spivey and Kane. This is our High Point Amateur Dog of the Year. He had a good year. He's come in with 3 wins. I think he had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds and a 4th. I mean, he was pretty much everyone he showed up to, he was the one to beat. He's SRS champion, SRS amateur champion, 7-time Grand Hung Retriever champion, and QA2. So he's got the credentials. And Leah is a great handler. She stays nice and calm and can handle these crazy situations like this when anxiety gets high. I think she's definitely got the target on her back coming into this one.
Well, she did not seem intimidated by that. Dog move. You just love to see that dog that'll pull when you need to pull.
Leah trains down there with Justin Hergert and with Kevin Baggott, her teammate that's also in this top 18 series.
Kane's taking this very seriously.
There'll be a little water here.
She's got that little dip she does before her cast. Do you think she's trying to get him to straighten up? That's a conscious thing, or that's just her routine?
Might be a little routine to make sure the dog's looking at her. You know, sometimes on a water blind when they're way out there, you want to give a little body movement to make sure you're getting the...
She gave a left hand there, which you couldn't see in the deal, and the dog started to say, well, wait a minute, this dog's willing to swim across the ocean. Came out in a nice spot.
Good blind.
Yeah. That willingness to make the swim is
there you see it.
Very well paid off.
Eukanuba Amateur Team of the Year, also known as the High Point Amateur Dog, meaning they had the most accumulative amateur points, placement points, title points, whatever you want to call them, through the year.
How does the point system work?
It's first is sixth and sixth is one, so 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so
and it takes 4 points to qualify for the Crown Championship. In the Open, it takes 10 points with the win to get your title, and in the amateur division, it takes 12 points with a win to get your title.
Okay. So somewhat similar to field trials.
Yeah.
Takes 10 in a win to be a field champion and 15 in a win to be an amateur field champion. So, all right, here we go. And she moves, just trying to just subtly finesse. Dog wants to look a little left. Boy, what a great view. You're at the back end of that blind with a great camera work. And I think she got a pretty decent start. Obviously, she's pretty pleased with it.
Kane's a pretty watery dog, so I think she's more trying to stay off that water than she's worried about that poison bird.
See Kane just look at it and say, no, that's not for me. She goes with the verbal. Pretty good spot now. Can you see that post from the line?
You can see the very top of it.
That post that the dog's passing, right there.
Yeah, you can barely see it. If you get the right angle, that grass blocks it a little bit. Making the left turn. Good whistle.
Pretty good spot, though. You can, good.
She's 4 feet dry.
Look, see how she ran left to gain her ground to give her room for
See how
walking
that
this
bush
cast
kind
up?
of blocks the tip of that point? So
Yeah,
you really got to walk
yeah.
into that cast in order to see him. She got in the water.
God, I wonder if she can.
She didn't like it. She's going to make sure she gets all of it.
Obvious. Did she blow a come in with that, or is it
She did.
Okay. I cannot always hear some of those whistles, but. Tell you that point, the way they're shaped. Kane's giving her a little bit of friction here that I didn't really expect.
You talked about from their angle of being able to, whether they see the dog hitting that water back there. I don't think she knew that she got the water the first time. That's why she tweeted him in.
Well, she's got
That
it
dark
this
background
time.
in those trees.
But I tell you what, you can see why Leah, she's done well because she's a scrapper.
Yep.
I mean, she was not going to settle for less. There, she got a little messy on the point. She'll take some hits there, but she proved to the judges she eventually got that last piece of water. I think a lot like yesterday, there's going to be some movement on this leaderboard.
That's right. You got the scores over there before we get these last 2 dogs in. You mind highlighting a few of these scores? You don't have to say them in order, just kind of what we got so far.
Well, okay, well, I'll tell you what, a lot like yesterday, that first dog that ran, is that the first dog that ran?
We had one more low score. Satchmo and Kevin Baggott had.
Yeah, we have a
But they
34
started
and
it
a
off.
28.
Here we go. It's up on the screen.
Here we go. Here we go. No,
So they started it off strong with a 36, and we had that 28 come in there. So there we are. We're sitting.
And I'll tell you,
This is the 12 right here with the bubble, subject to change with these last 3 scores coming in.
Sean Jackson comes back, and we have 2 more dogs, so getting pretty darn interesting. So, well, that 186 and 209 are going to be the dogs that are on the bottom of the list there.
Yeah, so your bubble right now is going to be 167. So 167 should be in or 164, because we got 3 scores coming in.
Oh, that's right.
So 164 should be our
right. We have 2
for
dogs.
sure 12.
And what did we come up? What made he get?
It popped up, but I missed it.
Oh, we probably had a chance
Cosmo.
to see it. Cosmo.
Cosmo and Sean Jackson.
There's a pretty famous Cosmo from the Field Trial Award.
That's right.
That you all know, dog named Dare to Dream.
This dog qualified this year with 2 fourths and a first. $67 for Kane and Leah. Cosmo is actually Sean's son's dog, and they get to use their little father-son bonding time, and his boy lets Dad take him out and play these games with him. Maybe we'll see Sean's son in the SRS University in the future.
Sean's all business.
Yep. Good cast.
Nice effort on that dog's part there. So we always called that inside back. That's when you're casting to thin to get less water. When you see a dog understand that cast towards land, but still gets in the water, you got it. You got to love it. We're going to be wrapped up here pretty quick.
We're getting close.
It'll take a little while to reset for our 4th series.
Good handling by Sean there. That dog, I think that dog more so wanted to go where that cripple bird was. I don't think he was really avoiding that other poison bird. He did a good job of maintaining control and letting him commit to that other cast so he knew he could get him off of it. Got a little juke there. You can see the background there. It's hard for that dog to pick out exactly where that handler is. He's looking all different directions. You got it. I know that's not how he wanted to finish, but he stuck with it and got her done. Our next dog and final dog for the amateur division is going to be Kate and John Robertson. They qualified this year by getting second place at the Southern Oak Kennels SRS. She's no stranger to the game. She's got a 5th, a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd in her past. She's been running it for 2 years. This is her 3rd crown as a 4-year-old. She's a Grand Hoover Tour champion in QA2, so as well as an SRS amateur champion. She's got experience in all the games you want. John says that her strength is marking. It showed in that first series with a score of a 17. Show that this dog can mark. He's from Ellettsville, Indiana. I think he's going to be the only one to be standing up for Indiana in this event.
Wait a minute, I'm from Indiana.
Are you really?
That's where I grew up. Yep.
See how he's standing on the left side of this mat here? I think he's doing that so he can get that big pull for this poison bird. We'll see how he plays this. Look at this.
Okay.
And you just gotta love them dogs that just sit there rock solid and look at that.
I had to take a look at where Ellettsville, Indiana is. It's right out of Bloomington, home of Indiana University.
Now he's gonna step over all the way to the right side.
Yep.
Good play. We call that working the mat. John's doing a good job.
Oh, Cosmo had some trouble there, huh?
He did. He had a little trouble getting off that last point.
Pulled him
He
139.
beached early and then had trouble finding his handler. Good initial line.
Back.
Look at her still looking at that poison bird from all the way over there.
Yeah, I was trying to think because the dog was not look,
Just making sure it's
isn't
still
picking
there.
out the handler right away. So just so this is our
Really?
final dog in here,
Yeah.
isn't it? Made good time here. It took a little bit over 2 hours to run 18 dogs. You know, I thought that was, they did that last year where they knew they couldn't finish the blind, so they made sure that they ran one group of dogs one day and one the next, so you hit as similar conditions as possible, and it really turned out to be. So they ran the professionals yesterday and the amateur division today, so. That's a good start with lots of momentum. There. Excellent
Okay.
whistle. You saw that dog.
Good whistle timing. Put in that communication right when you need
Nice.
to.
Wow.
Wow, nice job.
That's a pretty piece. That's pretty work there. Pretty work. You
Wish we
gave
could
it-
have a heart monitor on this guy right now. I bet you his heart is just pounding.
Doesn't look like it that much, though, does it?
He's like a duck on water. Looks calm on the surface. I know the feeling.
I'll tell you what, that silent cast towards the poison bird, how that dog responded. All right, now,
Get out.
finish this thing. You got it.
Got out. Rolled right in.
Ooh-wee. My goodness. Well, like yesterday.
Wow, what a...
Yeah, let's get a round of applause there. That was about pretty as you can get there. Whew.
That was a great job with John and Kate. I think that's going to keep him in the top spot there.
Yeah, we're gonna Everybody's there hard with their pencils and calculators figuring out this leaderboard. Boy, that was a beautiful piece of dog work.
Recapping this setup, well, the thing I really like that they do on this, when you have two crucial poison birds, I think placing that poison bird on the ribbon and throwing it on a rope in an event like this, when you get a lot of bounce of those birds and a variation with the throws, making sure that it's the exact same placement for every dog is such a crucial thing. And I think the crew and the judges did a good decision by making that the case where they placed those poison birds down and throw it to them with a rope.
Well, even if they didn't bounce, you know, if they were real birds, you would have a variation.
Right.
And when it's that close, you don't want that to be the difference.
And it keeps you from having a bunch of no birds, and everybody gets to come up and see them. And
Boy, I'm really anxious to see this score. Our lowest score in this entire deal was Clark Kennington yesterday with Toombs with a 17. You think this is close?
It's going to be, I'm going to say it's going to be in the teens.
Yeah.
We're having the leaderboard here in a second. We're getting all of our numbers tallied up. We're going to pop it up here in just a sec for everybody to look at.
The only one I didn't get written down was Sean's first dog, Matey. We're going to see it here in just a second. Yeah, Matey is the one I don't have. Okay.
Y'all hang tight with us here for just a little bit. Here we go. Here's our leaderboard. Wow, a 14.
14. Well,
incredible. Look at that lead.
My goodness.
Was that quick math, a 71-point lead?
Oy, oy, oy. Isn't that something?
So we got Casey Parker in 12th with Bailey, Rob and Wiggles in 11th, Lobo and Nick 10th, Lincoln and Nick in 9th. Fancy and Dustin made a big jump from 18th to 8th place. Sean and Matey, Jason and Shaker, Leah and Kane, Paul and Cash, Kevin, Satchmo, Dustin and Ranger, and John and Kate. Had quite a moving around. You got all those dogs are really good dogs and are all within striking distance. He's got a bit of a cushion, but as you know on the SRS, you can go from first to last and last to bird.
Well, that's right. That's right. And don't go to a prevent defense yet.
That's right.
Interesting. The top dog coming in this is still the top dog going out,
Yep.
but all the other placements just went all over the map. Well,
I think we're going to take a break while we get everything switched over to the 4th series.
So you got to get your, I got to get
ready. I got to get ready. So I'm not going to be with you this afternoon.
All right.
So.
All right. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll have a break while we get set up here for our fourth series. And well, here we are, the SRS Crown Championship 2024, presented by Eukanuba. I'm Pat Burns, and I've been spending some time here with Mr. Luke Core, who's got to go get his handling jacket ready and his dog. Luke, good luck to you in the next series, and thanks for hanging out with me. I've enjoyed it just as much as I did last year with you. All right, everybody, go take a break, and hey, join us again. We'll be coming back to you here shortly for the 4th series.
The Super Retriever Series Crown Championship is presented by Eukanuba. Sporting dogs give us everything we ask and then some. Their nutrition should do the same. By Shreveport Bossier Sports Commission, we are focused on you. Louisiana Tourism, feed your soul. And by Lucky Duck Kennels.
Your puppy only gets one start to set the foundation for a lifetime of performance at your side. Fuel growth and activity, support digestive health, and give him a training edge to one day flush, point, track, retrieve. So when the gear comes out, he'll be ready. Make every milestone count with game-changing puppy fuel. Eukanuba Premium Performance Puppy Pro.
The Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission is here to help you with your amateur, collegiate, professional, or Olympic sporting event. Centrally located in the Arklatex area, Shreveport-Bossier is a premier sports destination, ideal for hosting sporting events of any size. With our wide variety of venues, including stadiums, convention centers, rivers, and universities, we are sure to have the perfect location for any event. Our team is ready to make your event a success. Visit us online at ShreveportBossierSports.com or on Facebook at Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission and let us host your next event.
Two birds of a feather. We flock together every day, and I'll do anything to protect that loyalty. Durable, dependable, and downright dirty. And I'm not just talking about my dog. This 5-star crash test rated kennel is lightweight, secure, and made right here in America. Loyalty goes both ways.
Dating back to 1874, the American Field Sportsman's Journal was delivered to the homes of sporting dog enthusiasts and hunters across America, paving the way for the all-around sportsman's publication. Now, under the ownership of the United Kennel Club, the American Field Sportsman's Journal is reborn as an upgraded version of its original grandeur, celebrating the lifestyle for those who value a day in the field with canine hunting companions. The new journal will be a quarterly publication designed once again to showcase our way of life with all sporting dogs, including bird dogs, retrievers, hounds, beagles, and other types of hunting and working dogs. We will also embrace the outdoor lifestyle, bringing attention to wild game, cooking techniques, veterinary medicine, conservation matters, and game shooting topics, all right to the fingertips of our readers. From first-time handlers to lifelong dog owners, we value everyone's story, and we're working to cultivate a community of like-minded individuals who dedicate their lives to their hunting dogs. We invite you to join our movement as we honor our past, embrace our future, and provide a gateway for hunters and handlers of all levels to explore the unbreakable bond we share with our dogs.
Training the dogs is one thing, but training the people, that's really where it is, because now they can be better to their dogs. Their dogs can trust them more, and they're going to be more successful. And I've done a lot of coaching of people at Nationals, and it's really what turns me on, is putting together the dog-handler combination and helping them understand each other. And, well, success is bound to happen when you can do that.
In my Louisiana, the day starts at 4 a.m.
In my Louisiana, every meal is a celebration.
My Louisiana really makes me wonder.
Ours is fast!
With real-life swamp creatures!
In my Louisiana, music is a way of life.
My Louisiana is sheer magic.
From sun up to sundown.
Till sunup again. What will your Louisiana be?
When you find your Louisiana, you feed your soul.
They're partners, ready to do whatever it takes. Athletes that pound for pound can outrun, outwork, and outperform anybody you're watching on Sunday. No contract required. You don't waste that kind of potential. You train it, fuel it, unleash it. You feed nutrition that holds nothing back. The Eukanuba Premium Performance Lineup.
Buying an RV should be easy. I found the perfect RV for my family at BayouOutdoor.com. Bayou Outdoor made the whole process so easy with their great low prices.
Come see a line of Brinkley campers new to the industry. You'll find customer-driven product designs in the lineup of fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers. Come check out the Brinkley collection today.
So stop wasting time with other RV dealers and get your family camping now. Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Bossier City, Louisiana.
The Super Retriever Series Crown Championship would like to thank Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission for the opportunity to showcase our retriever teams. We would also like to thank the sponsors of the Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission. Super Retriever Series Crown Championship would like to thank all our gifting sponsors for their donations to our competitor teams.